right, welcome to another episode of The Producing Half, a podcast for us producers, people who are just working and making it happen. Well, I think my last week's episode was saying something like the world's getting crazy, or it's getting crazy, or something like that was the title. This week it's going to be The Crazy Rolls On, because it is just getting crazier out there. It has to be planned, first of all. That's what we need to realize. I've said it multiple times, but the greatest thing that the devil ever did was to convince us that he doesn't exist. And the greatest thing the government ever did, or the people in power ever did, was to convince us that they were idiots. They're not. They're insanely intelligent. They have access to the most intelligent people on Earth. People who are certified geniuses, they have access to them. They have AIs working for them. They have data and algorithms. They know. They know what they're doing. They know how it works. They understand it all. This isn't an accident. They're not doing this accidentally. This is very coordinated. And they don't have to create all the crises. They just have to take advantage of them. And that's where we're at now. They're taking advantage of them. The COVID, we all know where it came from. It was from a Chinese lab. Now, was it leaked? I don't know if it was leaked. Or was it on purpose? Was it released on purpose? I don't see that happening, because it's not very effective. It's 0.001% or 0.1% chance of it killing somebody, and you have to have other problems going on or have a genetic predisposition to it. So I don't see it being on purpose. I think it was an accidental release. They accidentally released it, and they just took advantage of it. They capitalized on it. The CRT, the critical race theory stuff, all the craziness going on with that, it's coordinated. As I was saying last time, when you go down the rabbit hole of looking through all these authors that are all producing these works for our children, they're all tied to these websites. These very professionals websites that are they're part of the they're national. They're part of the establishment when it comes to education and things like that. It's all coordinated. It is so coordinated. When you watch that video of that Russian KGB guy defector, you realize where it's all coming from. The whole queer theory stuff that's going on, the attack on heteronormative, whatever that means. I mean, I guess I know what it means, but the gender identity. I heard somebody say, I want to say it was a article about the fall of the Roman Empire, and one of the last stages was the attack on the gender identities. That was the last stage of the fall of the Roman Empire. These people are super smart. They're not doing these things on accident. They know what they're doing. They understand. They understand what they want. It's a war. Basically, it's a war on every aspect of our psyche. It's a war on our culture. It's a war on our national identity. It's a paradigm. It's a war. It's a war on the way you think. They want a paradigm shift, and so it's a war on everything. And these people are smart. They know what they're doing. There's no way that the Acostas and the people and the what's the Italian guy with the brother who's a governor on CNN. There's no way that the Fredo. He loves when you call him Fredo. There's no way that these people believe the things they're saying. They're not dumb. All these people on CNN and MSNBC or CSK or FFYC or whatever it is, and then on Fox and all these other stations. I don't watch cable, but I see some of the clips that some of the YouTubers will play. It's hard to watch it because it's just so boring, and it's such an agenda. Even when it's truth, it's spun with an agenda. But they're not dumb. These people aren't dumb. They have to know that they're being completely disingenuous. There's no way they believe, in my mind, they can believe. I mean, maybe they're mentally ill. Rush Limbaugh used to say that left liberalism, and he means the left, are mentally ill, and it's a mental illness. So maybe that is. Maybe it's a mental illness, and so they don't know. But I just can't believe that. I can't believe that they're all mentally ill. I believe that they're all highly educated and highly coordinated. By who? I don't know. Maybe it's, we'll talk about it, but maybe it's old Klaus Schwab, who's, I think that's his name, who's coordinating them. I mean, it's definitely George Soros. I remember seeing a rented van, pulling up to one of the Black Lives Matters riots. And it was up unloading shields and other weapons to use for the riot. Who pays for all that? That's money. Unloading waters and, cans of soup or whatever they were going to throw. And all that cost money and it's traceable, and somebody did. And I want to say they traced it to a George Soros funded organization. All these liberal leftist Marxists, we should probably stop saying left, because left is so broad. We should just call them Marxist. I mean, I don't know if they're Marxist or communist or some hybrid, but, I mean, they're Marxist, ultimately, which is ultimately, I guess, communist, which is just evil. Stupid? Should we just call them stupid? No, we already ascertained they're not dumb. So these Marxists, they're well organized. All these Marxist prosecutors were put in there by George Soros. He paid for their campaigns. I think he paid for the one in like multiple in Texas. He paid for their campaigns. And so you get these prosecutors in place, and they undermine everything the police department does. And then you demoralize. You just wait for a cop to screw up. I mean, they hire people they know are going to screw up, sociopaths, and then wait for one of them to do something, or they train them in a way that's going to require them to do something, that they'll do something that's easily construed, even if they aren't bad people, they'll just accidentally do something. The vast majority of police are good people, probably. It's hard to give them a pass because of the whole COVID. Whenever COVID hit and you saw how willingly they were to violate the Constitution and their oath, it was hard for me to give the police a pass. I understand that you have to support your family, and so your job is to be a police officer. But you chose that. Nobody forced you to be a cop. We didn't put a gun to your head and say, hey, you have to go be a cop. And then once you're the cop, we want you to make the right decision. No, you chose to be a cop. And then when you became a cop, you took that gun they gave you and you put it to the business owner's head, and you made them do what these amoral tyrants told them to. So it's hard to give a cop a pass after that. Most of the time, they're just domestic violence, domestic dispute freaking arbitrators, the cops. I don't know why anybody would want to be a cop when all you're doing is going from one domestic dispute to the next domestic dispute, not ever doing any real good police work. You're just dealing with that drama all the time. I don't know how you do it. I understand why you shoot people. I would too after doing that. So I'm not down on police, but man, it is hard to reconcile what they did, what they were willing to do to law-abiding members of society just trying to live. They were willing to totally just betray their oath of office. So that's a hard one. But they don't have, so these George Soroses, these Marxists, they infiltrated the colleges a long time ago. Now they've infiltrated the high schools. They have become, it's everywhere. And they do this, and so then it's obvious that it's coordinated. It's not an accident that we're being hit from all fronts of our psyche. You're getting them hitting economically. You're getting them hitting you medically, scientifically, environments. the gender, all your identities, everything that you hold to be an American. Americans are very dangerous to these Marxists. The education system of the turn of the century was extremely dangerous to them because we were educating people, truly educating them. We had educated generations with a true education, and they understood right and wrong. They understood personal responsibility. They understood the dangers of the elite. They understood that these sociopaths would take over if they let them. If they gave them a little bit of rope, they would use it to hang them. They understood that. They completely understood it. And so we had generations, a few, that were educated. Even when they were ignorant, they were educated. Like even if they were your hicks, growing out on the mom and pa's farm, they had a national culture and identity. They had a religion. They had morals, and they still understood. When you look at the letters that, because back then everybody wrote letters, so we can look back there and we can read those letters, and you look how they talked to each other. They, compared to us, they're geniuses. They wrote complex sentences with deep metaphors. They used a lot of metaphors, and yeah, you can find the dumb, misspelling and the obviously very uneducated person letters, but I'm talking about semi-educated, just poor, rural, but was still able to get some sort of education. Man, it was superior to ours. I told the story about the textbook from the turn of the century on high school, and I'm a college. Kumasam, whatever, I'm the greatest, on the highest level GPA and math student of the year. So, and I'm in college and I can't do this high school level textbook from the turn of the century. The problems out of it. Our educational system was a danger to them, I think. And so they totally infiltrated it. Slowly, we're talking about, I don't know when. I'd have to really study it to know when, but it really went hardcore in the last 30 years, starting with the colleges and then infiltrating the high schools, and now it's every part of the education system is this leftist Marxist. It's all coordinated. The Black Lives Matter, the COVID, the insane narrative around the shot in the arm. It's all coordinated. You don't know what's real anymore. It's unhinging your psyche. They know what they're doing, and they're so much smarter than us. They're evil, but they are smart, and they know that they destabilize our psyche. They destabilize our identity. They can reforge us. They can reforge us into what they want, which who knows what that is. We'll get into that maybe. Did you see the video on like the poor Star Wars guy? Some old man just trying to make a living in like a comic book or Star Wars memorabilia store or some nerd store. I like those stores, so I can say it's a nerd store. I would always stop by one of those and go in and wish that I could justify wasting money on something that is totally pointless. The guy has some funny sign that chicks with penises or something aren't chicks or something. I don't know. It's like a humorous sign, or maybe it was a political statement sign. I didn't see the sign. Even if it was a political statement sign, he was just saying, "Hey, if you got a penis, you're not a chick." Okay, he's an 80-something-year-old dude. He fought in Vietnam, and so they make it look like it's an organic, a trans customer who is 6'4" and can break this poor old man in half. Just walks into his store organically. It's not. She's a councilman in the city. She heard about it. It was all planned. Had a recording there. Somebody to record it. Man, but that guy, I laughed so hard. The things he said. I finally, you get some real men out there to just stand up. You're not a woman. You're a dude. If you want to be a woman, cut it off and pass. You got to pass. Like the spa guy who's in the spa with the little children, walking around with his slong just flapping around. It's not okay. That is entirely not okay. That, in my opinion, is assault. You assaulted that person. You assaulted those women and those girls in there. They were expecting a safe space from men with penises, and this guy walks in with a penis, strips nude, exposes himself to women and little girls. That's an assault. That is not okay. Even if, let's say those, let's say the women and their children were nudists, and they would go to nude beaches where there are men and women all nude. Nothing wrong with that. Whatever. To each his own. Don't care. Those children and that family would be in a mindset to expect that. The children would have been educated about that. They would be expecting to see nude men and women. And I'm sure the kids grew up that way, so they would be okay with it. But even if they were pure nudists, who always on the beach just looking at all kinds of nudists, if they go to a spa with separate facilities, then it's a problem, because they're expecting a spot, a room, a changing room where it's nothing but females in there. They're expecting that. It's their safe spot. And even if they are nudists, okay with male nudity, it's still a form of assault, because that is not appropriate to go into a safe space for women. And it's a different paradigm. If believe it or not, I've been members of gyms. And if a nude woman walked into a male's locker room, it's not assault. We wouldn't care. Matter of fact, it would probably entertain us, because we're guys. We're one step above an animal. I mean, we're basically just the emotional depth of a dog, and you've met most men. A nude woman. Now, there's some weird guys out there who go off on it. You know, some older dudes. Blah blah blah. I don't care. Maybe some religious people. The vast majority of men are going to be okay with it. They don't care. Some chick wants to walk around nude in the men's dressing room. Guys aren't going to care. They're gonna the ones who've got something to show are gonna be stripping down faster. They want to impress. They might even line up and say, "Hey, whose is bigger?" But it's a different paradigm because of the whole what a man can do to a woman and a woman can do to a man. That woman's not going to come in a locker room and hold down a man and do something wrong to her. There's very few women who are able to physically overpower a man. I mean, maybe some giant bodybuilding woman is going to overpower a man and hold him down, but it's a different paradigm. It's completely different. A full-grown 6'4" man going into a girl's locker room and stripping down, it's a power. There's a power dynamic there that's not the same. He can do things. He can forcibly do things, and it's going to take a lot of women to stop him, if they even could. So it's a different paradigm. The whole thing, I don't care what the situation is, when you have a place where women expect to have safety, they expect to be able to get undressed and not have full-grown men with penises in there, you're assaulting them if you violate that. That guy should be in jail for doing that. Now, if you can pass, like if I were to walk into a girl's restroom, they would know a dude just walked in there. So that's not okay. But if you're some dude that is so good at passing as a girl that you can walk in and nobody knows, then nobody's going to know. Have fun. Go to the girl's restroom. Sit down and pee. Nobody cares. If you can pass, if you don't make people uncomfortable, then go do it. And so if you're a dude who wants to go into a girl's restroom and get nude, well, then you got to go all the way. Get that thing cut off. I guess they don't cut off. I guess they invert it. Not really sure. Don't want to know. But if you can pass nude, then go in there. Then it's a different thing. It's still a little bit because you are, as long as you can completely pass, but generally speaking, there's still a power dynamic there. So you got to be conscious of other people, and it's not society's job to change for the few deviants. It's just not how it works. If you're going to deviate from societal norms so severe that you want to, as a man, be identified as a girl, well, it's not society's job to make that happen for you in a girl's locker room. That's not how that works. But it's all back to this assault on our paradigm. It's all this assault on our way of thinking, of our psyche, to try to destabilize everything. It's coordinated. It is 100% coordinated. And so who's coordinating it? I said the guy, Klaus Schwab. The only reason I know that name, I've heard it a few times, but only reason I remembered it today is because I spent 20 minutes going down the rabbit hole of the Great Reset. Just trying to figure out, because I hear the people on the right talk about the Great Reset, how you're not gonna no ownership, we're all gonna no, you're not gonna own any homes, and you see that happening now with BlackRock, BlackRock buying out all the places. What do you think? What do you think the the eviction moratorium? Do you think somebody like BlackRock cares if somebody's in one of their homes for a year without paying rent? If it means that all the small landlords out there who own one or two or three or four or even a dozen homes have to foreclose because their renters aren't paying them. That's the whole point of the eviction moratorium. It is to drive into foreclosure as many as individual homeowners and as many small landlords as possible, so these giant taxpayer funded these giant funds can gobble up those properties and consolidate more property and turn more and more people into the renters. That's what it's all about. That's what the whole eviction thing was. Not they don't care even a little bit about getting COVID out on the street because they know what it's all about. Have you had a shot, a vaccine for the common cold? Why not? Why haven't you had that? Because it doesn't exist. Because you can't vaccinate for something like that. You can't. It's not possible. Well, what do you think the vid is? It's the same virus as the common cold. It may be a little, boosted up. Wonder how that happened. But you're never going to get rid of it. We're all going to be exposed to it multiple times. I've been exposed to it multiple times. By Lord's grace, I haven't died yet or gotten sick. I take a lot of vitamins. I take a lot of vitamin D, a lot of zinc, a lot of vitamin C, multivitamin. I take a lot. I take a lot of vitamins. I even take garlic pills and melatonin and potassium and magnesium. I mean, I'm beefing up. So there's no way to stop the vid. Now that it's out, it's out. The Rona's never going away. So all this huge narrative on the Rona, we've gotta get the population, this many populations, they got to get the shot. Once we get half the nation doesn't have the shot. Man, that's about money, because they all got to know that, or it's about control. It's about control and money, because there's no. If you look at all the stats, so many people who have the shot are getting it. I even saw a doctor talk about that the shot, people who've gotten the shot and are still getting sick are going to breed, their body's not fighting the Rona like it should because of the shot, and it's going to mutate it even more and more. They say it's because of the people who don't have the shot, is that it's going to cause the mutated. Well, I heard a doctor who sounded smart say the opposite. There's no science anymore. You can't trust any science you hear. Trust the science. There is no science. Again, it's all on, they know. Let's get as much disinformation. Let's get somebody to say A and somebody to say B, and let's let the public just be totally confused by that, because again, it upsets your psyche. It's all about upsetting that psyche. But anyway, so I went into the Great Reset rabbit hole, and I ended up on a Davos website, World something forum. I mean, I went to so many websites, and it's just you click on one, it takes you, and they have some great language on those. So pretty words, and they say so much, and you look at all the name and the who's are part of their organizations and goes to their meetings. I was briefly, maybe 10 minutes spent looking into Klaus Schwab, I think was his name. And I realized that, man, this Great Reset it's just a continuation of eugenics in World War II. I mean, basically Germany is taking over again. It's weird if you think about it. I mean, the European Union is really run by Germany, and the whole Great Reset is run by Germany. This whole immigration thing, where they're letting all the fighting age Muslims into Europe, is all is done by Germany. The whole destabilization is done by Germany. It's weird. So you go into this guy and you start reading, and you have to be really smart, like way smarter than me, to kind of read in between the lines. Luckily, I've had enough people point out what they really mean when they say what they say. like a word I kept seeing over and over again when I was going down this rabbit hole was stakeholder capitalism. Stakeholder capitalism. Wow, that sounds awesome. Stakeholder capitalism. Man, it's capitalism. We know capitalism works. It's the greatest. Look, America's capitalistic and we're the greatest nation on earth. So man, stakeholder capitalism, that's a word, stakeholder, man. That's a powerful word. What is it? Well, I didn't spend too much time in it, but after reading just for 5 minutes, it was obvious what it was. It was Marxism. So there's shareholder capitalism. They talked about that. That's evil. Shareholder capitalism is evil. Capitalism is evil as well. But stakeholder capitalism, that's not evil. That is where the stakeholders control everything. It's been tried. Marxism, socialism is not going to work. That is all that is Marxism. The workers control. It's not going to happen. They're going to keep the workers as dumb and as controlled as possible. They're all going to get rich, and not rich in a different way, not monetary. They already have money. They ain't worried about the money. The money is whatever they call it anyways. It's just currency, and they control the currency, and it doesn't matter. You can call it the Frankenfritter, and they'll own them all. They'll control it all. They control the central banks. Money is nothing. It's about ownership and power and control. They'll control more assets. They'll control it all. They won't have to worry about the middle class. They won't have to worry about people amassing independence from them, because we're all going to be serfs. We're all just going to be workers for them. You'll have extremely, extremely poor, basically, starving to death slaves. And then you'll have poor workers who are uneducated and poor and working. At least they're fed, and they'll consider themselves so much better than the ones who aren't workers. And then you'll have the elites. There'll be some middle management in there, but they'll be well controlled. And then you'll have the elites. They will eliminate the middle class, the lower upper class, the upper lower class. It'll be poorer than you can imagine poor. It'll be poor workers. And then it'll be the super, super elite. And this is what they want. I've read many years ago, when I was in high school, I read a paper, slightly racist, but it was basically spelling out what was going to happen. It's not like when you look at these South Park episodes or the Simpsons episodes or Family Guy episodes, it's not that they're geniuses. It's just that they're paying attention and they can see the writing on the wall. They're not psychic. They don't have a crystal ball. They're just seeing the writing on the wall and they're paying attention. You could see where this was going. Alex Jones has said so many of these things over the years. I don't listen to him, so I just get the clips, so I don't get a lot of the full context whenever I watch the clips. But I've seen him predict these things. I remember seeing him predict 9/11 before it ever happened. He flat out said it was going to happen. He even said that they were going to fly planes into the World Trade Center. How did he know that? Was he part of the conspiracy? Is he a CIA plant? He said specifically they're going to fly planes in the World Trade Center and use it as a pretext for war and to gain more power and control. He said that many months before 9/11. I understand he's a freaking... He's a nutcase, and he's an alcoholic nutcase, and says the craziest things, gay frauds, and he says things that aren't true, and kid shootings, and he makes up a lot of things, and and he exaggerates. But man, he said that. How did he say that? He's not. It's not that he's psychic. He was just paying attention. He was seeing the writing on the wall. And he was actually what he was doing which is what I did today. Is he just read what they were saying. He just went to their papers that they produced. He just went to their websites and he just read what they were saying. That's all you have to do. They don't hide it. They don't even try to hide it. They just say what they're going to do. So there's going to be no ownership. It's going to be a slave class. This is literally just the continuation of eugenics. It's just they're going to have their superior race of people, and the rest of us, that has nothing to do with color. It's going to be the haves and the have-nots, and there's going to be such a giant divide from them that it's nothing like you can imagine today. I don't know where we go from now when we've got dudes wanting to shower with little girls and spas, where we got 6'4" men dressed as women beating up or intimidating 85-year-old veterans in their little small business. when we've got the police violating the Constitution and their oath of office to shut down small businesses while allowing the giant corporations to continue what they're doing. When you have riots in the streets, murdering people, burning down, and they're okay. But when you have an unauthorized tour of the Capitol, it's an insurrection. You just got to stop at the narratives. You got to not even talk to them when somebody brings up these crazy. Well, what about the insurrection? Just said, I don't care about your narrative. I'm not talking to you about that. Your narrative is retarded, and I'm not. What about the murders and the riots and the burning down of the cities that nobody cared about? None of the left bailed them out. Those same politicians who are so upset about the unauthorized tour of the Capitol are they were bailing out the murderers and the people who were burning down, and looting and rioting. They were bailing them out and encouraging them, but then all of a sudden it was a horrific. I was going to be raped, insurrection. Oh, please, the American people are maybe not the brightest bulb anymore, but they're not that dumb. We can see what that's all about. We're not going to fall for it no more. So I don't know where we go with all that. I mean, our poor president doesn't even know where he's at most of the time. So I don't know. I don't know how we come back from this, man. We need a leader. I'm not talking about Trump. Poor guy's old. Leave him alone. Let him retire. We need some new leaders, some new people to stand up. Well, that's all we got today for the producing half. The crazy rolls on. Let's hope we can survive it.